Hey everyone, Tyler here with Gilded Reviews, and welcome to the second installment of my 25 most influential games. If you haven't seen the first part of this list, you should check it out. I will leave a link in the description. There's some great games on there. Also, I wanted to start doing a poll during some of my videos, so at the end of this video, I will put one up asking what your favorite game was from today's list. Before we get started, and this has been bugging me since the last video, Contra came out in America in 1988, not 1987. That was the year it released in Japan. Anyhow, let's get this list started with my number 20 most influential game, Sonic Adventures for the Sega Dreamcast. This title hit America in September 1999 and it blew me away. Sonic Adventures was my first real Sonic game. I mean, I had a Game Gear with Sonic and played some of the older Sonics at friends' houses, but never really got that into it. That all changed with Sonic Adventures, and I think the main reason for this involved the Dreamcast itself. This monster of a system was, in my mind, ahead of its time. The graphics, memory cards, and pre-installed modem made sure of that. Unfortunately, similar to the Atari Jaguar, it never really gained the traction Sega wanted and was the last modern console the company would produce. The main thing that led to my Sonic addiction was the last thing I thought it would be, the memory card. Sounds asinine, right? Well, it's not. Sega had managed to create a remarkably innovative item that prolonged the life of Sonic dramatically. In Sonic, you could collect little Digimon-type creatures called Chow. These guys are awesome, and there were multiple types to collect. To top it off, you could level them up by popping the memory card out and taking it with you. The memory card was called a Visual Memory Unit, or VMU for short. It had a black and white display screen, a D-pad, and a couple buttons. This allowed the developers to create mini-games that would help you level your Chow. When you were done, you would plug it back into your controller and import the Chow back into the game. This wasn't the only thing Sonic Adventures did right. You could play as multiple characters from the Sonic universe, including Dr. Robotnik, Knuckles, and Amy. This was also the first time I saw Sonic go Super Saiyan, which left an impression on me I will not soon forget. Moving on to number 19, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the PS1. I played Tony Hawk religiously, and so did almost everyone I knew. It was great. We could get together, have little tournaments, play a game of skate or graffiti. There was always something fun to do with a group of people when you had Tony Hawk. Everything about the game seemed to be designed for multiplayer. This game hit my brother so hard he would skip school to play. I remember coming home being excited to play some Tony Hawk or Final Fantasy VIII, only to find my PlayStation missing. My brother would take it over to his friend's house and I wouldn't see it for days. Actually, now that I think about it, he would always wipe my memory card too, which was awful. I had to buy a backup memory card and take it out of my PlayStation before school. Anyhow, Tony Hawk was good for just about any occasion. You could hop in and play it for a few minutes, or you could sit down for hours working on new tricks to use against your friends. Next up at number 18, we have Deus Ex and Deus Ex Invisible War. I grouped these two together because I actually played through them at the same time. Alright, so these games blew my mind. I had never played anything like them, and the integration between RPG and first-person shooter was a crazy amount of fun. Somehow, I completely missed the first Deus Ex, which released in 2000. I didn't end up finding the series until January 2004, when I came across a Computer Gaming World CD. This CD came with the entire original Deus Ex. I loaded it into my PC, and the next thing I knew, I was transported into one of the most unique games I had ever played. Within a few days, I had learned that there was a new Deus Ex out, and it featured the same first-person shooter RPG mechanics that made the first one so unique. When I came across it for PC, I had to have it. I had not finished the first Deus Ex before I was installing biomods in Invisible War. Both of these titles really stuck with me over the years and would eventually lead me to trying out BioShock, Borderlands, and Fallout 3. Next up at number 17, we have Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo. The release of this title in 1993 caused a serious uproar from the older generation. They were appalled by the genre itself, and many tried to end video games for good. This, as with most things, only helped create more buzz around Mortal Kombat. Even Nintendo refused to let Midway release their game without some serious rework. People were losing it. Local news stations were talking about how terrible the impact would be on today's youth. Anyways, Mortal Kombat was still a huge success, and even though Nintendo didn't allow blood and ultimately the same fatalities as the arcade version, it was still a lot of fun. If you were lucky enough to have a Sega, you could input a code that would unlock blood and gore mode, which made it the so-called better version. There are only a few few fighting games I can actually get into, and Mortal Kombat is easily one of my favorites. From having unlockable characters like Reptile and Goro, to the unique levels that offered their own secrets. The entire game was just well made, and worked great both at home and in the arcade. Ending this list at number 16, we have the always popular Age of Empires 2. Releasing in 1999, Age of Empires 2 was one of the first games I ever played multiplayer on PC. As a side note, it has recently been pointed out to me that this game is still alive and well. There is an entire community that still hosts tournaments and everything. I am honestly both surprised but not at the same time. This game was fantastic, and if any game from the 90s should still have a huge following, it's Age of Empires 2. There are countless things I could talk about here, so I will try and keep it brief. First off, the direct control over your units was fantastic. Being able to control them in any number of ways made the game look very good. Secondly, this was the first game that really got me to LAN up computers for all-night tournaments. And lastly, Age of Empires 2 started my love for the RTS genre. After and even while playing Age of Empires, I explored everything I could, from Empire Earth to Rise of Nations, Command and Conquer, and of course, the already legendary Warcraft and Starcraft from Blizzard. I continued to play this through high school on and off, and even while I was deployed 10 years ago. Granted, we did play Age of Empires 3 a little more, but Age of Empires 2 was always around. That closes this week's section of my 25 most influential games. Thanks for watching, and I will have the next 5 up shortly. I love having this conversation and would like to continue it down in the comments. If you guys have your own list or just want to randomly drop names, feel free. Anyhow, thanks again. If you liked the video, throw us a thumbs up, consider subscribing, or checking out some of our other content. It really helps us out.